Well, hello, 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 my people, my good people. Hello. Welcome to the weigh in. It's been a good minute since we've done it. So I'm going to definitely weigh in tonight. Hopefully, you'll come in the room if you're not busy. My band people will come in the room if they're not busy because tonight we're going to weigh in on HBCU band and the dance culture post COVID. Okay. I'm still working on getting my green screen background together. My lighting is a little bit strong, so it's giving, it's doing a little bit too much. But we're gonna figure it out. We're gonna figure it out overall. But definitely have um, a good spacing here. All right, so I'm just giving a couple of seconds to see if I can get any of my band people are available. I have a lot of band people that come around. While we're doing that, I'm gonna try to play with my adjustment for my back. Oh, not too much. Okay, let's try that. All right, that might be the best it might get for tonight. All right, there we go. I can handle this. I can handle this. All right. So I want to talk about the HBCU band culture. I am B Banks. As you know, you're probably watching this on one of two forms, via Facebook or via YouTube. If you're watching YouTube, then you're watching via UC Dance, which is my original YouTube page. I do have more than one, but I don't do anything only but on this one. This is the only one that I actually post anything under. Um, and so if you're on UC Dance on YouTube, then you know this is a collaboration of a lot of different type of videos and things that I do. And the weigh in is one of those installments that I do, but I do other installments as well. So just wanted to make sure that I make ourselves clear. Now, if you're watching via YouTube or via Facebook, I just ask that if you wouldn't mind, y'all can go ahead and hit that like button on YouTube. Still growing my subscriber base there, as well as growing a few other things as contents as well. So just hit that like button. I would appreciate it. And you can also subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is UC Dance. It's the only one I actually post anything under. So that's the one we'll be talking about today. All right. Oh. Anyway, so we're gonna move right on into what I want to talk about, and I want to talk about the HBCU band world post COVID culture. I want to talk about the HBCU band world post COVID. And I'm going to just tag one or two people um, that I know on the dear side. Let's see. And I want to talk about that HBCU band world post COVID. The reason that I want to talk about this is because I have some questions that I want to see if people think the same as me. Hey, Bailey, how are you doing? What's going on? I thought you would have went to the fair today. That's my Facebook family right there. Well, beyond Facebook, but that's my Facebook family right there. Um, all right, let me just tag one of my good friends. I'm gonna tag one of my YouTube friends who you should subscribe to. Okay. It's the first week. I mean, you're in Texas. Do as the Texans do. I don't know. That's the best I can tell you. That's the best I can tell you. Um, but I'm just gonna tag a few of my Facebook friends, those who may not be busy, so they can come back and look. Um, okay. But anyway, so I want to talk about the band world post COVID, and I kind of want your opinion on what y'all think about this post COVID band world. It's not got to be negative or anything, but I definitely have some thoughts, some opinions, some things like that, and so just wanted to see kind of how y'all are taking it all in. Um, okay, well maybe she changed her name. You know how people be changing their Facebook stuff. They might have deactivated it. Oh well. So we'll keep moving on. Hopefully people come as they see the title. They'll probably think I'm doing something else, but we'll see the title. So y'all know the band world in 2019, high school and college. It's not just pertaining to college, but definitely colleges that foundation that we kind of use to gauge how well or how not so well your band is doing. College is kind of that mark. It's supposed to be kind of like the Olympics of band, I guess, in a sense. When you're talking about the HBCU band style, college is definitely that HBCU. It's giving you the Olympics of band, right? Well, ever since COVID happened, you got to think you really lost almost. We lost one full season, but you lost half a year of band. And the reason I say this is because your jazz, your competition, your concert season, and even your recruitment season was affected by COVID, when it first hit in the spring. So that was a really hard season because recruitment was affected. Definitely your jazz season, your concert season, which is part of what really strengthens your musicianship when you're talking about the band side itself. But when you talk about dance, you're talking about your tryouts, you're talking about all of that was affected because a lot of people had to go virtual or just sit the year out, right? Then you come into last year where you didn't have football in the fall for most colleges. Most conferences canceled, and the SWAC conference decided to do football in the spring, but only a small version of games, like 6 games. It wasn't a lot. Where high schools continued, most high schools did do it in the fall, but even like some high school districts shortened the amount of number of games. They were playing only in district, no out of district. There was different rules across, the high school level or your district level. And so that all kind of played a part in how recruitment would go, how getting your kids out there, the exposure, the amount of time your kids would have to practice, whether it be band or um, dance, the dance lines. And then you come into this season where we're kind of trying to get back to a normal season, have a full season, a full schedule. But you still having to work with COVID restrictions. You're still having to work with so many other barriers that do still exist. And we acknowledge that, or at least I acknowledge that. But it seems like, in my humble opinion, that a lot of groups are struggling to get their footing back the way it was 2 years ago or 2 seasons ago. Okay, because I know in Bandware we base it on seasons. Um, and it really sucks because some of these bands were at the height. Some of these high schools were, really getting at the height of some of their performances, in this modern world, where band is not a forefront engine anymore. Back in my day, and even prior to my day, when I was marching, band was an engine. It was something that moved. I mean, I'm used to marching in a 200 and plus piece band, which is big, or at least moderately big. It could get bigger, even back in the older days. And now, a big band, you're lucky to say big band if it's 150, you know, people, that is. And it just, it's a different world. But to see band where it is now, and the post COVID, and I say post COVID, even though we're still in the pandemic, but in post COVID, it's questionable to see this in a full season. And I have to tell myself sometimes, do not set a high standard, because I know, I'm a coach. For those who don't know, was a coach, and I understand. I coached during COVID, so I understand the restrictions. I understand the differences that have had to happen since COVID has struck. What I wanted to get from y'all, because it's not just about me talking, this is definitely an interactive conversation. What I wanted to get from my viewers who are here, and then even if you're not watching live and you come later, definitely chime in the comment section, whether it's on Facebook or YouTube. Okay, I am streaming to 2 different platforms at the same time, just FYI. What I wanted to talk to you guys about is, how are y'all feeling about the HBCU band season? You can mention high school, you can mention college, because I'm not putting it all in the colleges. I'm definitely wanting to see where your mind is, if you watch or follow the bands, if you're a band geek, if you were a band member, if you were a dancer, if you watch and you don't know anything but you love watching them. How are you feeling that they're doing? We've seen the national, if we're talking about college, we've seen National Battle of the Bands. We've seen 2 to 3 games from each college at this point. If you're talking about high school, most high schools have played 3 to 4 games at this point. Um, how are we feeling about the season? How are we feeling about what we're seeing post this, coming out of the COVID pandemic era and trying to get back to a basic norm or a normalcy in the band world. How are we feeling about that? Because I know um, there are a lot of good elements that I'm seeing. I'm seeing some changes across some bands, maybe subtle, but changes, whether it be from COVID or whatever it's from. I'm seeing those changes, but I'm also seeing a few question marks that I'm starting to wonder if it's because of COVID that this is happening, or is it because of leadership change, or is it because of the classes? Now you have to think you have almost 2 seasons. Your COVID season, which when the pandemic hit, they did everything virtual, and then you have this last season, which got some in-person time, but they still were partially virtual. They were kind of a hybrid season for most entities or schools. So now you're thinking this is probably the first real season most people got. I know I saw one of my students that marches with Prayer Review Marching Storm, and I got to see him in his first season. This is his first full season where he's actually getting to march. And last year would have been his first year. He was kind of in a hybrid group where they got to meet in person, but at the same time, he got to what was I gonna say? He got to meet in person, but he also got to um, mm, 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 mm. But they didn't do a lot of performances. That's what I was trying to say. They didn't do a lot of performances. So now you have him in his first season, and he's learning how to actually balance the traveling, the games, the going away, the school, where that wasn't necessarily the focus last year because they couldn't do any traveling. They couldn't do a lot of things on the college level. So now he's actually having to learn in his second season how to balance all of those different things, as well as some students that I have that go to Langston, or some students that I have to go other universities that they went to that was in that class that was affected by COVID, right? So are y'all seeing anything, any differences, or have you noticed any differences, or anything that maybe you're pondering about? I definitely want to open the conversation up, not only in the comment section, but I actually want to invite you to come on live if you choose to. So for my YouTube people, and you must be on camera because I don't want, because I am streaming to different platforms. What I don't want to do is have a troll in case one pops up, come on, and they try to do whatever. So if I don't recognize who you are, I'm definitely going to request you to be on camera. I'm going to drop the link in my YouTube, as well as I'm about to drop the link in my Facebook. Um, and we're going to, just kind of have the conversation and see. Again, forgive my background. The lighting is I'm still getting used to adjusting the lighting. So I'm trying to figure out how to make it not do that. My lighting is a little strong here. But we're going to have the conversation. Don't worry, guys. Just give me a second. I'm gonna drop the link if you want to join live and give your opinion. Definitely, do that. Hold on, just a second. Okay. Here we go. All right, I'm dropping that link now in the comments for the Facebook family. I'm sorry, it's taking me a second to get to it. And if you want to chat or come live, definitely do so. I see I have a few people watching me. You don't have to be quiet unless you don't know anything about the band world, but you can definitely come into the comments and I'll pull you up. What I wanted to do is just kind of have a conversation about where you think band world is right now for my band geeks. I am a true to heart band geek. I've played instruments all my life. I come from an instrumental family, but I am also a dance coach. So I know the band from the front to the back. I mean, from the banner girl all the way to the flag girl in the back, if that's the traditional setup of band. Your flag girls will be in the back, but some bands march them towards the front, like ASU. So it just depends on the culture. All right. But I put those links in there. If you want to join live, you can definitely click on the link, follow the prompt, and you can come live. I think that let's talk about just band, the instrumental side. We won't even talk about the auxiliaries or anything yet. I definitely think the band side, what I'm seeing is some bands are incorporating that playlist, especially in the HBCU world. I'm going to go kind of to the Olympics of band, which I consider to be HBCU, the colleges, right? So, in my opinion, a lot of colleges are I don't want to say playing it safe. And again, keep in mind, just do a disclaimer. I don't know the ins and out of what's going on behind any of these organizations at this time. We know that there are rules, there are things they're having to deal with. We don't know all of the restrictions that they have for each school unless you have connections. So that's one thing I do want to mention. But just from an outside point looking in, hey honey, how are you doing? Hey girl, hey. But from the outside looking in, what I'm seeing is most entities on the collegiate world are playing safe with their playlists. It could be because they're still trying to get warmed up because we have to remember again, they're coming together probably for the first time in 2 years as a true entity. A lot of these schools are trying to basically bring in two classes, really two classes of people that have probably never been around the full band. I've heard that from some of the alumni when I got to be around some alumni and some current kids that are in college that are going their first year. This is the first time the band has even seen some of their freshman class, two of them to be exact. So that's another struggle. So you're trying to blend two classes that know nothing, that have never really been in a practice, plus these veterans that have been out of practice for almost 2 years, and you're trying to blend them and bring them back together to recreate what was existent 2019 and prior. So although they're having those struggles, and although we know that there are some things that definitely could be addressed or fixed or whatever the case may be, I'm questioning if some of them are playing it a little bit safe. I think a few of them are trying to amp it up at this point. A few of them are trying to bring out the playlist now. It took them a couple of extra weeks to really blend, and I definitely know it was going to be more than just a band camp or a 2 week band camp, which is traditional for most Black colleges prior to the season. It was going to take more than 2 weeks, right? Because they've lost 2 years worth of work. It's not the machine might have been well oiled prior, but it's not a fully well-oiled machine anymore, and they're having to re-oil those gears and get it pumping, right? So that's what I'm kind of noticing so far in this point in the season. We still got quite a few more games to go. At least 7 for most schools of games to go. So that's definitely something to be interested to see how they're going to really pump these 7 games as homecomings are starting to get close. Some of your big name classics. One of them just happened today here in Dallas, which was the State Fair Classic. It's one of the biggest classics that we have in our area, for the HBCU side. But there is a second classic, that's becoming a classic now in Dallas that'll be coming in 2 weeks, which is the Southern versus Texas Southern game. That game has now been in Dallas maybe 2 to 3 years. This may be the third year, if not the fourth. And so that's starting to become a traditional classic, the Southerns, the Texas Southern versus the Southern. And I know this year it's anticipated to be a big deal because now, especially in the band world, because you have a former Southern director that is now leading the charge at Texas Southern, right? And so that'll be Southern versus Texas Southern to see those band directors. And he used to be on staff. So if you don't know the band world, then you have to understand that. But moving past that, what I would, like I said, what I want to see is your opinion. So if you're on, I know there's some people here watching. Go ahead and let me know. What do you feel about the band culture right now? How are you doing it? I put the link in the chat for Facebook and YouTube. Let me know, how are you feeling about where band culture is, whether you want to join me live if you click on the link, or if you want to leave it in the chat box, that's fine. It can work either way. How are you feeling about the band culture? That's the musician side. Here's my opinion on the dance side. Dance, I'm seeing some good things, but I'm definitely seeing a shift in the dance auxiliary worlds. And I won't just limit to dance because some schools have twirlers, some have flags or color guards, some don't. But I'm seeing a shift that is taking place, and it's a strong shift. And some people were not ready for it, right? It's a really strong shift. What I'm starting to notice is that some of the teams that was considered your top, your heavy hitters in 2019 or 2018 is not what you're seeing now. You have some new teams that are coming up and coming out. Like COVID did a body good, right? Like milk. You're seeing some people coming up and coming out of that thing. You're seeing them really, really take hold. I'm seeing some teams rise that was getting no kind of shine, and they're outshining some of our fan faves, probably, right? You said V said I was highly disappointed today. Did you go to the Classic, V? Did you go to the State Fair Classic? For those who are not from Dallas, that would be the Prairie View A&M University versus Grambling State University. Um, Prairie View for most Texans would be the home school, but you have a lot of Grambling alumni that actually live in Texas, so they have a very big following in Texas as well because they're not very far from the Dallas area. PV and Grambling are both within a 3-hour drive mainly from Dallas. So Dallas is kind of like the central meeting point, which is why it's a big classic here during our state fair, which is world renowned, world known. V, let me know, why were you disappointed? Give me a couple of highlights. Okay. Oh, you went to the game. Okay, so you did go to the classic, and you went to the Battle of the Bands today. Yeah, the Battle of the Bands. I kind of figured wasn't going to be a lot going on. For those who don't know, and I'm saying this as a disclaimer, so if I say something, it don't offend anybody. Um, the Battle of the Bands here, there's usually one or two on the day. Sometimes there's been three in the past. But one of the big Battle of the Bands that happens with this classic happens in the morning before the game. Usually most bands around the area perform. However, the largest school district, which would be Dallas, ISD did not allow any of their schools to participate in the Battle of the Bands because it was considered to be a non-UIL or out of district function. Uh, my wording, I'm saying it that way because I want to make sure I don't say it wrong. But basically, you can't do anything that's out of the district. You can't do anything that's out of UIL at this point. The bands were prohibited to be able to attend, which is something that's kind of tradition here. So a lot of the HBCU style schools or high schools are in the Dallas area. And so I'm sure that put a heavy burden on that Battle of the Bands because now, you're depending on what to pull you through. Now, a lot of local community dance teams perform, a lot of local community cheer teams perform, in between the acts. But when you're pulling out most of your main bands that are local, you're going to be basically dependent on out of state or out of town bands to come through and save the day, right? I don't know who I was at the Battle of the Bands. I didn't see it. I think I saw a couple of clips of people performing, but I didn't see. So I don't know who was there. I don't know who won. I think Cedar Hill was there. My brothers played for that, so I think they might have been there. I'm not for sure. But yeah, so I don't know. I did get to see Prairie View A&M's the Marching Storm. I did get to see their halftime. It seemed pretty good. I mean, it was standard for Prairie View. I didn't see anything that was out of the norm of what I would have expected. It seemed like they've tried to keep that same momentum that they've had. But knowing, like I said, understanding the direction of the directors of where they're going, I definitely believe that they are one of the groups I see that are trying to do their best to stay at the same level of where they were. I did not get a chance to watch Gremlin State University's halftime. I will definitely go back and look at it. I got to see a few of the march-ins, march-outs. I did see that one of our Dallas girls, local Essence, was leading Orkeses into the stadium. I was so proud of her. There's several Dallas girls actually in the Orkese company, but I got to see one of our local girls who I think is a great addition to that team, lead her way in to the stadium and to be home and lead the infamous Orkeses. This is not her first game, but just to lead the infamous Orkeses, I know that that has to be a heartwarming feel to be able to lead them in and to lead them at the game. I'm going to look at clips. Clips have been being posted all day because Jackson had a game today. What is it? Alabama A&M had a game today. Prairie View, Grambling. You had a lot of big hit games today, or big schools that had games today. So definitely going to be going back looking at clips. I haven't looked at that many of them today, but I was just trying to see. Again, if you're coming in, you can always join me live. I will repost the link if you want to come on and share your opinions about the thing. Like I said, this is a open conversation, so I will post it again on the YouTube side, as well as I will post it again on the Facebook side. Let me know what you think about band, y'all. I'm just, I'm a band geek, and I'm just curious to see what do you see going on with band culture post COVID, because it has affected a lot of things, and I definitely would like your opinion or your aspect, because I don't know it all, and I'm not even professing to be the know-it-all. I know a lot, but we all see something different. We all look for something different. I know I'm personally overall, and I'm not saying any particular team because it's not a particular team, but overall, I'm not seeing what I want to see across the auxiliary lines as a coach of auxiliary. I'm not seeing everything I want to see. Now, there are some groups that are giving me life, definitely, but there are some groups that I'm just waiting to kind of, shake off the COVID, and get back to the way things were. Again, not knowing the restrictions, not knowing how things are working in their local area or even at their university and or high school, because there's some high school teams I'm looking for as well. You don't know what they're going through, so I take that into account. But at the same time, it's like, man, it's not giving me what it was supposed to have gave, right? It's not giving what was supposed to have been gave. Up, V's here, y'all. Hold on, I'm gonna let V on. Give me just a second. All right, V, I'm bringing you in. Hey, V,
Hey,
how
how
you
are
doing?
you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for coming on in.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Tell me your experience. I know you said you.
Today, so it was highly disappointing. This is my time to get my band geek going.
Uh huh.
So at the Valley of the Bands, we'll start there. There was Cedar Hill, Irving, the Academy.
Is
Um,
that universal?
yes, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So it was, and then Aldo. That was it
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
bands. No PV, that we normally get that I don't mind paying,
PV didn't
the
come through.
$10 for. No, no, no,
Oh.
no,
Oh.
no.
Now that I didn't.
So yeah, so we get to the game, get to the classic. It's 350 maybe 3:30 when we get to the game.
Uh huh.
Both of the bands are just now getting there, so there's no zero quarter. Um, Halftime was okay. Of course, I'm gonna give it to GSU for halftime
Yeah. Okay.
for my
Okay.
own reasons. Um, my thing is, if you can dance with your instrument and it still looks good and everybody is coordinated, you get my point because everybody can play or everybody can do their little breakdown with no instruments, right? Like I
Right.
can do
Right.
that, right? So that's my thing. And then there was like no battle between the bands in the stands. It was just like the drum lines going back and forth, maybe the tubas, and maybe some of the brass every now and then. They weren't playing like their fight song. They weren't playing, Nick and stuff people want to hear and stuff people generally come to the game for because, of course, the game was packed, surprisingly enough. And then,
I was not surprised.
um,
I kept telling the people it was going to be packed.
yes, it definitely was. And for the most part, the game stayed packed the whole time.
Oh.
Gremlin Band couldn't even come out until the game started because they waited so late to come to come into the stadium.
Yeah.
So I was like, what is this? So you got fans like mad because the bands are not actually, there was no music being played. There was a fifth quarter, so there was that.
Hmm.
Uh, it was okay. It wasn't even nothing to write home to mom and dad and them about because I was just like, oh, well, maybe this should be my last year at the Battle of the Bands in a game. Because that was like, felt like a waste of money. Really felt like a waste of money. But
Oh no. You know,
yeah,
I well, I'm glad that you went and supported. I did not partake in either function this year. Um,
mhm.
but my thing was, and I knew that them things were going to be different. What I did not know was the restrictions that they're under. Like, I don't know if they had restrictions at the game, at the classic. I don't know if those bands had restrictions because if they're not playing a lot of music during the game, it sounds like there's restrictions. And I don't know
That's what
if
it kind of sounded like to me too.
and if you the weird thing about it all is I know, like, going through COVID last year as a coach, with the band with a band, what really stuck out to me was that they were worried about aerosols, what they call aerosols, or the little sprinkles through instruments and things like that.
Mhm.
So they really didn't want bands, doing a lot of excessive playing. We could play or whatever, but they try not to. I'm questioning, just as from my knowledge of prior to this year, I'm questioning if they had those type of restrictions to where they, okay, yeah, fifth quarter, we've seen a lot. If you've been watching your clips and your footages like me, I go and watch a lot of clips from games that I can't get to. And it seems like fifth quarter is when most of them play the most. The rest of them, maybe a spirit song here or there, percussion, of course, because they don't require any aerosols. They're playing with their hands, so they can get away with a lot.
And maybe that was it.
And I'm thinking that maybe that's what it was, because even with them coming in late, it would make sense because usually those bands have to be in before the crowd even can get really in there.
Right.
And I did get to see the clips with their march in and march out, and I noticed that they were marching. Well, State Fair is packed either way when they get there, but it did seem like when they got there, with a lot of people in the stadium. I didn't see a crowd in the stadium, but I was like, usually when they come in, the stadium's not even packed yet. And I
Right.
noticed there
The
was a
stadium
lot of
was
people.
they were like literally 355. Grandma was in the tunnel. Like
The game.
literally in the tunnel.
Wow. What time did the game start?
It started at 4.
Is this late this year,
Which
or did it start early?
no.
No.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
4 is this. This has been the last few years. It's been starting at 4. Normally it starts at 6, but like you said, this last 4 or 5 years, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking to my child over here.
Hey, child.
Brandon said, "Hey, child." But yeah, it's been starting at 4, which makes it really, really uncomfortable and hot. So at least, because I just feel like I walked away and I still need some more band. I'm like, oh, I need to go to a game, I guess, because I just didn't get it. I didn't get it. There was no, and you were right. Now that we think about it, there was no fight song when they scored, which wasn't a lot of scoring, but there was no fight song when they scored. And they played their school songs at the end, but that was basically it.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
I need some more fixes because this wasn't
I
it for
definitely
me.
want to
Normally, I
see.
could do.
I wonder if they have any ban, like any restrictions that are posted. Y'all know I like to get fact um, about ban, and about I'm looking up as we talk. I'm trying to see if the SWAC has any posted restrictions on the ban side of stuff, since that's kind of what monitors the ban. I know football is what they're really, but I know they make the rules for the ban too.
Now, I did hear that the commissioner made some changes, like they can't play during certain times. And I don't know what those restrictions were, but I'm just like, that's what the fans come to see. You really don't come to see football unless you have a kid on the field. Everybody comes to see the band. So, um, people were literally screaming at them, play Nick, play the GSU song. I was like, oh, y'all, they not going to listen to none of y'all. But, they don't look too good. But y'all can keep screaming if y'all want to. It was bad. It was really bad.
Hmm. I'm looking now and kind of see. I know I see all the stuff from kind of the spring season. I'm just kind of looking to see if they carry that over to the what you call the season. And for those who are joining the conversation, or I see a lot of people that kind of come in, if you don't know exactly what we're talking about, we are talking about band culture in general, kind of getting our opinions on what we think the season's doing so far. Miss V is here sharing her experience today with the local Battle of the Bands, as well as the State Fair Classic, which has Prairie View A&M University and the Gremlin State University world famed band there. Um, let's see. So let's see. I'm looking to see. I'm seeing if they said if they updated what the
Gremlin had
restrictions.
flags.
You said what?
I'm trying to remember if Gremlin had flags. 'Cause I remember PB flags looking really nice. Um, where was the Black Foxes?
They were there.
Okay,
I saw them on chin, so I know they were there.
okay, okay. Because I'm like, I don't remember seeing them, but I do remember seeing them go out. I don't remember seeing them perform with the band. Come on, I don't want you to turn your my car up. Trying to turn your look up.
Somebody just came on in. Oh, okay. I'm gonna add. I'm gonna add one person. Give me a second.
Come on.
Hey, Miss B, how you doing?
What's up?
So Miss B is a for those who don't know her, she is a graduate of the Southern University. She is a juke. Oh, a diehard juke too. So I see you came into the conversation, so you could definitely add your sense in if you want to chime in on something.
I'm just interested in knowing why was today such a big disappointment? I mean, this was supposed to be what, the State Fair Classic. It's supposed to have been hyped up for a long time coming, and everybody trying to live outside of COVID and stuff like that. So it's like, okay, I why nobody bought it?
Why nobody what? Wait, what was the
Why
last part?
didn't nobody bring it?
That's that, and I'm not putting it on these two bands because my question is general to a lot of the schools because I've been watching several schools and I feel like some schools are getting overhyped. I feel like some schools you could tell they're trying to rebuild for whatever reason that is. I ain't gonna say rebuild, restructure. Let's say that. Um, and but today, being that it's the local classic here, one of our biggest ones that we've had for eons before I was probably even born.
Mhm.
That's what I'm really kind of paying my attention to. But one thing that I'm looking at is I got to actually see PV the night before at what we call the Fall Fling at one of our local high schools here,
Mhm.
which I'm alumni of. And PV sounded normal to me. They sounded great at that event.
Mhm.
Um, they gave me kind of what I expected from Prairie View and nothing less. So I'm not even necessarily disappointed in PV. But again, that was a smaller private performance. It was not the game. So the
Mhm.
restrictions that they had there necessarily don't apply if they had any restrictions at the game to where
Mhm.
I was. Um, I don't go to the game typically. That's just me. I don't really go to the game unless I'm there, with a team or something.
Right.
Um, I'd rather be on the performance end of it than to be just a spectator in the crowd. That's how I am. I'd rather watch it from TV, or YouTube, or whatever. Um, for me, my disappointment, I'm not necessarily disappointed in any program because I think every program right now, gets the benefit of my doubt because again, we don't know what they're dealing with on their local end or through the SWAC per se. Um, at least I don't. Um, I'm not disappointed. I think I'm looking for what was left off in 2019, and I don't want to set it. I don't want to set the bar higher than what it should be. But
Mhm.
I think for me, as a fan of many of these programs, or even somebody who just likes to watch them in general, whether I'm a fan or not, um, I'm looking for 2019. Uh-oh. V, I muted you just so that those sirens wouldn't be all in the background. But you're here. I guess I got you muted. Okay. But I'm just looking for I guess I'm looking for 2019. I ain't gonna lie. Because 2019 there was a lot of great things happening for a
Mhm.
lot of programs. Now I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna let V talk if she has something to interject, because I'm sure she does. Um I'm seeing some programs get some really good lighting this year. Like Miles College is giving
Mhm.
me is giving me some. They well, one Miles has been on my radar for a while, but I'm loving what I'm starting to see from Miles this year. I'm
Mhm.
just waiting for them to kick that notch of where I know they can take it. But I definitely
Mhm.
believe in the program that they've been building there.
Mhm.
I've seen some good things from Kentucky State. And
Mhm.
the K Reds, I've been really watching them hard this year. So they're a program that's on my radar that doesn't normally get a lot of attention. Um,
Mhm.
Hampton University, Norfolk, of course, those are not SWAC, but again, great programs that I've been watching and paying attention to. Um,
Mhm.
but when we talk about bands and we're talking about the beast of band worlds, typically most people, not all, but most people refer to the SWAC easily because the SWAC is the biggest conference. And looking out of that conference, those programs, their traditions are there. You see it, but I don't think any of them yet have just taken me to where I want to go. The nearest one that probably is giving me what I'm looking for most of the way, I would say PV, but not even calling PV, maybe Alcorn. Maybe Alcorn. I think Alcorn has been consistent. And I think actually in COVID, I think that band has actually pushed it a little bit. My personal opinion. I've seen improvement in what I look for from the Alcorn institution. V, you want to chime in and tell me what you think? Or do I need to unmute you? Hold on. Okay, I just unmuted you.
Okay. So I'm not in the band world per se. I've just been a band head all my life.
Mm-hmm.
So I started going to ballad bands, watching bands, going to high school games. Like really doesn't matter to me as long as the band sounds good, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
started that at 14. I'm 47. I've never missed a ballad of bands ever, college, anything. So I went to Houston for the college ballad of bands. I was kind of like, okay, I drove 5 hours. At least I did eat good because I was so used to. I'm used to it here, and they still got me here. And I'm like, when we going up here? And that
Mm-hmm.
was everybody. That was all the 8 bands that was at the Ballad of Bands. I mean, I will fly to Atlanta to the Honda. I'm still they still doing 2018 stuff. It's 2021. Let's do something. I'm trying to remember who made me stand up at the Ballad of Bands in Houston. Who was that? Do you remember? Was it Miles or South Fort? Who was the school? Langston made
Mm-hmm.
me stand up the whole time. And I'm used to seeing Langston. I know they gonna come in playing. I know they gonna come in. I call it boss hogging because long as you let them play, Langston is gonna play. They gave me my money's worth. All of the other 7 bands, they could have stayed at home.
Okay.
Today, I got a little bit of some good playing today. I did. I didn't get what I was expecting because after 2 years, when you come back, we shouldn't be like, oh, they played that last year. We should be like, oh yeah, stand it up the whole time. I think I actually sat down doing halftime today. No, I went and got water. Actually, is what I did. I went and got water doing halftime. I don't leave performances because
Mm.
it's like I didn't say this before. I usually travel with. I take like that Friday off, and I travel with the Storm everywhere they go. I'm there because I like it. I didn't even think about it this year.
Mm.
So I'm thinking this is probably gonna be my last year doing the Battle of the Bands and the game because I don't have a dog in the fight. You know what I'm saying? Next year I may have a dog in the fight at a whole other college, but we'll see. Other than that, I wasn't impressed at
I'm
all.
sad to hear that. I'm really sad to hear that. But I know, like, I've talked to several people that are band heads that were in the bands, that perform with bands, that's currently in bands, and I'm one of those people. I sit back and I listen. I have my own opinion, of course, but I like to see where people's mind are. And when today it's just like I couldn't shake this conversation, and I actually wanted to have this early, but I was like, I know people are at the game. I'm gonna wait till later, and I'm gonna jump on and I'm gonna have this conversation because I knew I was like. I just really want to know what people's mind is about band culture because I've been watching. Like I said, most bands are 3, maybe on their 4th game, 3rd to 4th game now, high school or college. And I'm looking and I'm like, I just don't. There's some underdogs that are definitely getting much attention that I think they deserve, and I'm glad for that. But now I'm looking like, man, there are some colleges that I'm just expecting something from, and I ain't got it. I haven't gotten it yet. Not saying that they're not doing isn't good, but what I'm looking for, what I'm anticipating, I have not received. And by now, you would have normally just had that battle, at least one battle, one blow, one something. And I've heard a lot of
I get
whether it's directors, instrumentalists, dancers, whatever it is around the band culture, and a lot of people are just not. They're not. They haven't seen what they're looking for yet, and I think that's what the thing is. And like I said, I don't want to set a bar that they can't reach because we don't know the backstory of what they're going through. I know that there's a lot of restrictions. I know there's a lot of moving around, but this is going to be very interesting. Oh, I got a link here. Let me see. Hold on. Let me see what this link is. Vivo Life. Oh, I've seen this show already. And it still doesn't qualify for my opinion, but hey, I can show it. So Miss B sent me a Miss B sent me a link to Southern because of course she's a Jaguar through and through. But she wanted me to she got me this link. I'll show it in just a second though. But
Where's it
yeah,
from? I
huh?
was probably there.
This was the McNeese. How you say this word? This school.
McNeese. That was the
McNeese.
halftime show for McNeese, but they did a zero quarter. I was looking for the zero quarter that they did with Miles College. They did a zero quarter and they did a fifth
Yeah, I
quarter
watched it. I
with
watched the
my
band footage of
with
that. I
Miles
saw the fifth
College.
quarter. Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw fifth quarter. I saw a little of zero, but I
Yeah.
definitely watched the fifth quarter of that. And I looked
Mm-hmm.
at both halftime performances.
Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Again, I think Miles is stepping it up. I give Miles a lot of credit. I personally, and I know you're gonna hate me, I personally am not, and I'm not a Southern hater. I had a brother march with Southern, so let me throw that out there first. I am a supporter of Southern. I think Southern is very great at what they do. They're great at being Southern. Um, However, even Southern is underwhelming me right now. And normally Southern is the beast of the group. Okay. And Southern's the beast. Hey, Kiana Lynn. She says, I've enjoyed watching Alcorn so far. See, that's the same thing I said. I said Alcorn and the swag that is, to me, has been the most consistent. To me,
You have
they actually stepped up in COVID. I think they got better because in 2019, they were headed there. In the COVID season or spring season, to me, even though they didn't get to do a real season, those videos that they put out were top notch. And
y'all have to understand something that's real major in this whole situation is that Southern, Graham, PV, they were big bands, they were
mhm,
big sound, they did their thing before COVID. They were affected the most by COVID. You have to understand, they had to put a whole lot of protocols in place for those kids to even travel. And so that cost. At the end of the day, that cost. But now you have to understand this too. It's great to watch Alcorn. Alcorn is stepping up. I'm not gonna lie. I watched their halftime show. It was last week, I guess it was. But here's the thing about like Alcorn, Miles College, Langston, all of those are on the come up because the other bigger HBCUs are in that mode of transition of trying to handle something that nobody was adjusted to. I think the smaller colleges or the smaller bands, they have an opportunity to come forth and to show their stuff. And it would have been a sad situation if Alcorn had stayed the same. It would have been a travesty had Langston or any of the other smaller universities or bands would have not come up. I mean, we have to put it in perspective. You're talking
mhm,
about the larger bands are underwhelming you, but you have to keep in mind that these are the larger bands that were affected the most. And I mean
mhm.
that it affected recruiting, it affected performances, it affected travel. I mean, the SWAC had a smaller football season and they did it in the spring. It was only Southern had 6 games.
I think it was
Of
six
those
games.
of those 6 games, Southern only went to one, and that was the only home game.
Yeah.
They didn't go to Bayou Classic. They had the Bayou Classic in Shreveport. They didn't go to the Bayou Classic. Grambling didn't go either. So I mean, you have to understand they were working under the same ramifications that all the rest of the bigger schools and stuff were dealing with as far as COVID is concerned. So yes, they're gonna underwhelm you at this point. But guess what? I really do believe people are not giving the larger bands the respect they need because at the end of the day, PV gonna step up at the right game. Gremlin gonna step up at the right game. And I'm gonna tell you like this: I don't know how Southern underwhelming you when every one of the songs that Southern played in the last 3 weeks were all brand new, including the power theme. So see the thing is we always look into negate or not even negate. We look into pick certain things about certain bands when in actuality, let's put it in musicianship. Let's put it in sound. Let's put it in marching dynamics. Let's put it in all those different perspectives. Let's put it in the dancing dolls. Let's put it in the J sets. Let's put it in every category because right now what you're doing is you're taking and you're making your personal feeling above and saying I'm underwhelmed or they haven't really wowed me. You're looking at the whole entire spectrum of it when every component of the band was affected and each component was affected differently. So that director had to handle each one of those components differently for a long time. I mean, even right when COVID hit and the swag decided The SWAC had decided to postpone the season or whatever, but they had had a game or two prior to then, and nobody could travel. Nobody could travel. No band could travel. So you talking about bands couldn't travel, they couldn't perform. So all they were stuck to was their YouTube channels. So yeah, you're gonna look at stuff from 2014. You're gonna see stuff in band performances from 2019 because we got to think about it like this: those bands had not performed since 2019. They had not put out a true performance since then. So yeah, we gonna see some stuff that probably should have hit in 2020. We gonna see some stuff that should have happened in 2019. Yeah, that's true. We in 2021, but we still in COVID, and we still gotta operate in such a capacity. I mean, I don't even expect. Let's put it this way: a lot of people are shunning or upset because the ISD made the decision to pull their schools from it, right? Saying it wasn't a UIL sanctioned event. What they don't know is UIL had put out their safety ramifications already. UIL has sent every coach what the safety COVID protocols were anyway. So Dallas ISD made that decision to pull out the bans from that because of those social distancing protocols. Think about this. This weekend was a very big weekend, fair weekend, Battle of the Bands, the PV versus Grambling game. All of that is on a large scale. Mm-hmm. If they can't control it, they're not letting Dallas ISD perform in that. I mean, even with cheer, our competition is in a couple of weeks. It is only Dallas ISD schools. And that's because, and guess what? They got us each coming and performing at a certain time. So I mean, everybody from high schools on up, everybody has to operate at a different level. And unfortunately, yes, some programs are going to suffer because of that, because not everybody knows how to navigate through that. So, and kudos to Alcorn. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, kudos to Alcorn. But Alcorn, you got to think about it. Prior to COVID, they really weren't that impressive. You looking at them in comparison to the larger bands, you like, okay, Alcorn, are y'all gonna bring it? I mean, what are you gonna do? I mean, so you got to think about it. They had a smaller number of people to deal with when it came to COVID, as opposed to FAMU. FAMU has more than 100 people now, and they call themselves the Marching 100. I was not impressed with FAMU when Southern played them. So I mean,
I wasn't either.
At the end, I wasn't impressed when FAM played Jackson State. Jackson State impressed the hell out of me when they played against FAM. I'm like, damn, Jackson State came with it like that against FAM, the Marching 100. I did not expect that, but I think that each band steps up when it comes down to a certain point of who they have to play against. And I mean, at the same time, you're going to see them saying routines and all that other kind of stuff because, I mean, COVID happened and they don't know how to navigate that. They really don't.
Let me read this conversation from Terry. Terry said that Miss B has a good point, but musicianship and creativity has been on the decline for some time. I personally was looking for JSU, which is Jackson State University, to stand out. Same routines. Terry, I definitely get you. First off, thank you for coming through. I appreciate you. That's my god brother. But I agree, and I'm not disagreeing with what she said in any point, because I actually said that at the beginning before I think she came on, that I do understand there's a lot of circumstances that we don't know and that we have to consider that, and I am. However, as a fan, I'm taking myself out of coaching, out of my dance knowledge, out of my musician knowledge, and just being a fan and fanning out. When I go and see these groups, I fan out. Okay. Like when I saw PV last night, I fanned out. Now, yes, I know their counts. Yes, I know their songs. Yes, I know what their rituals and traditions are. I put so many people and help a lot of them get in band. I've had a lot of kids go there. I have kids there now. However, when I saw them last night, that was my first band I got to see, big band I've gotten to see in 2 years. I just fanned out. Okay. I was excited. And like I said, I'm not saying that the bands are not doing a good job. And I want to clarify my statement. I'm not saying they're not doing a good job. I'm just saying I'm underwhelmed as far as my expectation, because in the band world, and this is just something band people do in general, we talk smack. there's a lot of smack talking going on in the band chat groups and the band world that I keep up with. And I haven't seen some of these, what we would call, like I said, the heavy hitters or the dogs. They're not backing it up fully. Yes, Southern is putting out new music, but that's something we know Southern does. I expect it from Southern. I can't say that I can expect it right now, but I expect it from Southern generally. Um, it's just still some elements of Southern that I'm looking for, I guess. And I say elements because it's not the everything, but in the package of what we normally get, that I
You're
don't feel
not
like.
gonna get that until they go home. You're not
Which,
gonna get what you looking for. You're not gonna get what you looking for. You ain't gonna get from no band. I know where your mind is and what you're looking for. This band season, you're not gonna get from any band. I guarantee you're not. From
hey,
people
Sip.
on that. What the reason why you fanned out on last night, one, is because of what you said. You said you hadn't seen a big band in a long time. But then V says she wasn't impressed at all today with the same band that you saw yesterday. But see, here's the thing. Oh, we knew in town, we here to Dallas, we gonna part. They gonna cut up the night before. But why not party and cut up on the day of the game when you should? Why?
Exactly.
Why? Why?
Because I'm
Why take
spending the same amount of money. I'm spending the
you
same amount of
already
money.
here? You already here. So why take a step back? Why show all of that? I saw your videos last night, your live. I said, oh, okay. Got the little MC with the microphone with the wire. I said, okay, we got it. Okay, she had to fight the chords, but it's okay. And I'm looking at everything else, and I'm looking at them break down and all that kind of stuff. But then for V to get on here and to say that she was not impressed today and that they did not do a fifth quarter, what was all of that show for last night? What was that for? Oh, I get it, fan,
No.
whatever.
I didn't say they didn't do a fifth quarter. They did it. They could have kept it.
But
They
They didn't
you
do a
did it.
zero quarter.
it
They didn't do a
didn't
zero
impress
quarter.
you, right?
They
But
didn't do the
here's the thing.
zero, but they did the fifth.
Right. But here's the thing. They did that last night at a high school. You was among college people today. You was among alumni today. You was among a large crowd of people that have socially gathered in a very long time. People were looking to get out the house today. People was looking for the bands to do and show out. And
Right.
a lot of people feel the same way V did.
But that's why I
She's
said
not
I
the
think.
only person that has posted about the bands. Gremlin,
No, but
PV.
that's
And
what I
you
was
know,
saying. That
I was
I
impressed.
feel like there had to be some type of restrictions at that game that they just because
Watch
Graham
this.
and PV normally go back and forth the entire game.
But why go
That's a
outside?
rivalry that's gone back.
Graham went outside and did the breakdown because Hollywood or whatever his name, Baby or whatever, he went live on K104 and it was
Okay.
outside the stadium. Why you didn't do that in the stands? It's the same
And
social distancing protocol. Come on. You in
really,
the stands.
they didn't have a choice. Well, I won't say they didn't have a choice. When they did their breakdown, they was going out. They basically got blocked in. So, in which I've never seen them do this before. They brought Gremlin out, and there was no space. Prairie View was right behind them. Gremlin literally turned around, did their breakdown while Prairie View was doing their breakdown. Now, I was behind them because I was over where the football players were. So I didn't get, I mean, from what we saw, because you could see everybody had their cameras out and da da da. I'm like, well, shoot, this is what we waiting on y'all to do in the game. But by that time, everybody had left. So the people that were blocking them, because they blocked it, they couldn't go nowhere from what we saw. They couldn't get out. So you had both bands in the parade route, and then here come the parade. They didn't have no choice but to start clowning because they're just standing there.
And that's the thing. And that was like last night with PV. They had no choice. What competition did they have sitting there last night?
Right.
None. Now I do agree with what his name was earlier. His comment about musicianship and creativity has kind of been on a decline. I do agree to that to a certain extent. I don't think that that's wholeheartedly completely true because some of those larger bands have had a turnover. They don't have the same band directors that they had prior to COVID. So you got directors that are rebuilding programs at this point.
True.
So yeah, the musicianship, the creativity and stuff is going to eventually build and be there, but you're expecting it to be here when they're rebuilding a program. Like Alcorn, for example, they should be on the come up. Their musicianship and creativity should be. Know why? Because they know other band programs are in a restructuring phase, reorganization,
Mm-hmm.
getting directors and stuff like that. Who is it? Gremlin. Gremlin's director is now a female director. She's the very first female director
Not
of
first.
Gremlin State.
Oh, for
You
Grambling State, yes. I was gonna say there was
know,
another female director for Mississippi
yeah,
Valley.
of Gremlin State. So I mean, she's brand new in the last year. So I mean, some of these people are trying to put their own stamp on it. If I'm mistaken, PV just got a new person. I don't think it was the head director, but they got a new assistant director as well. And then Texas Southern, same thing. So when you start talking about some of those bigger programs, they're having a transition phase. So some of their creativity and musicianship, I think the problem is that these new people are trying to come in and put their stamp on what we are not accustomed to. Meaning,
Understood.
we accustomed to a certain level of what the
Yeah,
bands can do. We know what they're gonna do, right? But then
yeah.
you got this new person. I know what they're gonna do, but I want them to do this too. And then it's like, okay,
Let me
so it's a
address
struggle.
Miss Kiana Lynn. I put it up, but I didn't want to stop, what was being said. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
Kiana, I left your comment up on purpose so I wouldn't forget to address it. So she says some of the band music is becoming a little too poppy or too trappy for me. Where is the soul and the snap? I agree. I think this generation that we're going into, it's easy to put the little rap hits and the pop hits out there and jam them because the crowd. I mean, that's kind of where music is right now for our generation, unfortunately. And it's
Mhm.
like you don't hear a lot of bands play just a lot of good old time or good music. Southern plays, Southern pull out a good hit. Like they'll pull out a good was I got my money, I got my whiskey. They
Oh, they
like to
played that. They played
a
that about
jam.
2 weeks
Yeah, I
ago.
was gonna say they'll pull out a jam like that. Every now and then PV will pull one back, here or
They
there.
played some Earth, Wind,
Uh,
and Fire.
but yeah, a lot of bands have gotten away from, and I've heard band directors say this too, that they don't play music anymore. They're playing what's popular or the radio hits to get that crowd, to get that fan, because you're gonna catch the fans because that's what the most of your crowd base is gonna want to hear. You're catching that fan, but you're not playing to all of the crowds. Where's the real music? Where is the In the Stones? Where is the Prince music and all that? Well, Jackson actually did a Prince show today. Their whole field show was Prince. And
Was
I've
Prince
noticed they've been theming their field shows, which is not something Jackson has done
in a
recently in most.
long time, right?
Right. So I agree with that, Kiana Lynn. Thank you. Hey, Shadaria, how you doing, honey? I know she got something to say. Shadaria, chime on in, honey, because I know you got a lot to say. Unless you're trying to hold it for your YouTube channel, because I know she does a lot of reviews of stuff. So I know she has a video coming from today's review. If you want to join the conversation live, I'm reposting it in the chat box. The links where you can join us live here, like they did, and join this conversation. Thank you all for coming in and dropping your 2 cents. Terry, thank you for coming by. I appreciate you, bro, for coming. I missed you yesterday. He was there too at the performance last night. Oh, Shadaria Oregon chimed in. Hold on. She says high school band programs aren't what they used to be. You better say that. But that's the change of times, though. I will tell you, coaching high school, I definitely know it's the change of the times. And it's getting harder because there's more distractions. And I had this conversation with somebody else before I finish your comment. Technology was not a distraction we had in the past when we were in high school. And now technology is a big distraction, but you have so many more clubs and programs and after school things that did not exist 15, 20 years ago. And I think now we're oversaturating the kids with so much options that it takes away from programs that need the bodies like band and dance and cheer. You don't get as many kids that will come. Back in the day, what was it? Middle schools and some of the high schools here in Dallas, they would have a cheer team of 40, 50 girls easily. Now you're lucky if you see 20 girls on a team, you think that's big because that's how times have changed. Hold on, let's see what the rest of the comment. It says, so it's difficult for college bands to have that musicianship we play, EWF, Earth, Wind, and
Yeah,
Fire,
Earth, Wind, and
Jackson
Fire.
5, etc. The recent music is easier to play. It is,
Because
and
it's
it's
baseline only. It's
it's
baseline only.
easier, it's catchy, and it doesn't take as long to
Right,
write either. Because
right.
I think
It's
Earth,
baseline.
Wind, and Fire, the preludes before they even get to the music, It's just a lot because it's a lot of just music jamming out Prince, the intros and the preludes before you even get into the verses of the song took time. Now a rap song or a trap song or like Kiana said, a pop song, they over at what, in a minute and a half to 2 minutes. Most rap songs a minute and a half, 2 minutes at most. A pop song 2 minutes, three on a good day. And you know what I'm saying? So the music is slow, is shorter songs, easier rhythms, and easier to write. So you can pump them out quicker. The band can learn them quicker than what you can get. And I do take that. That's good. Thank you, Shadera, for your feedback. V, you had something you wanted to say?
Keep the. I mean, to me, from a fan perspective, I can't even give you anything from a technical. Last time I picked up an instrument, I was in 6th grade and it was an alto saxophone. So yeah, I mean, I was first chair, but I didn't pick up that thing no further. But from a fan's perspective, if you're gonna charge me more or the same, I expect to see improvement. All the sportsmanship and I mean all the technical, do all that stuff at practice. But when you come to the field for a show, bring me better than you brought me the last time I seen you. That's Grambling, that's PV, that's Southern, that's TSU, all of them. Because I know I probably got kids, not that I had, but I probably got kids in all of these bands. All of the, no, probably not the high school so much, but kids that I've, they call me mom and I don't even know who the kids are. But bring me better than you brought me last time. I probably seen all of these bands last year at some point in time. I don't go watch YouTube videos and all that. I like real, right there performances where I can feel the music, where I can hear, I can feel the drums.
Mm-hmm.
The fans don't care about all that. We just want a show. I didn't get my show. So now I got to find another game to go to, which means I'm probably going to take over. So I'm going to have to go somewhere else because this used to be my fix. This and the Bayou Classic. Am I passing up the Bayou Classic this year? Sure am. Why? Because I don't want to spend all that money and still be disappointed.
Oh, I'm going.
They cost me 2 tickets to the Battle of the Bands this morning, 2 tickets to the game. And I wasn't even going to the game. But when I didn't get what I needed at the Battle of the Bands, I was like, well, let me go get some more. Still didn't get what I wanted. It was all right. I was there. But it's not what I was expecting, especially after everybody being on a semi-hiatus, for COVID. When we going to stop saying, well, it's because of if it's because of COVID, don't show up. Then I won't be expecting anything. Then I won't be buying my tickets. But you got to have the band there in order for people like me to go. Like I said, I don't have a dog in the fight. My son is at Southern now. He don't play sports. He don't pick up. He ain't doing nothing. He just going to school. So my whole thing was, when I left each event, I was like, I guess this is it for me. That's enough because I can't keep wasting my money. But I'll pay good money to see a good performance at any time. Brandon knows it. Kiana knows it. As long as the performance is good. But if they're going to keep staying the same and the price is going up,
yeah,
I can just,
this year.
start watching YouTube videos. I don't know. But it just wasn't there for me.
I'm sorry to hear that. Hold on. Shadaria said, not even just that. She's going back on what she said. She's not even just that and what I said. Technology and other after-school activities are taking the kids away is what she's talking about. But with the addition of the collegiate academies in high school, it takes the students away from music, dance programs, etc. That's true. And Kiana also has a comment and says, and I'm not hating. I love some swamp. Yes. But in terms of the field, the musicality needs some improvement. Okay, that I agree. I agree. I think a lot of bands are playing safe, and I'm not hating on safe. And as a coach, I've said this before, and I know Kiana coaches as well. As a coach, one thing I tell my girls all the time: people don't care if you learned the routine 2 weeks ago, 2 months ago, or 2 minutes ago. When you walk out there on the field, to the stadium, wherever you're going, they're judging what they see. And Ms. V just even attested to the same thing I just said. When a fan sees you, they don't know what you're going through. They don't know what you had to do to get to where you are. All they know is what they get when they're there. And I think that's where I'm coming from with my statement. Because I understand all of the changes, all of the restrictions, all of what it's taking. I'm sure it takes more than just the regular team to pull what they're doing right now. And I send my prayers to all of them because they are risking it for our entertainment and for to keep the culture going. So I do appreciate that. One thing I think I'm looking at now is that, like I said, I'm kind of on that point of I don't know as a fan because I'm not in your program. I don't know now. As somebody who's coached, I get some of the things that you're having to go through on some levels. But because I don't know what you're going through and I don't know all of what you're having to face from the spectator's perspective, I only can judge what I see when I get there. And when I get there, like I said, last night was a good feel because I saw what I was looking for, at least what I wanted to see from PV. Not saying they were just over the top the best or what they were doing, but I saw what I came to get. You know what I'm saying? At last night, and I got it, and I appreciated that. But I know just in band culture in general, moving forward, getting through the pandemic and all of those hurdles that they're having to do, I'm definitely looking for some more from some of our bigs. And yes, I know we've had a turnover. Yes, I know there are band director changes, and with change will come differences. I get all of that. And I agree with that. We having to let those band directors kind of get their feel and get their program together and their visions together. I just want to see, I want to see them still stay, because my thing is you can't say you, well, I'm not even talking about the band directors. I'm talking about the band affiliates or band members. You can't say we're this, we're that, and then your program's not reaching the bar that you left. Because all we can judge, you can't even count 2020 spring really, because it really wasn't a real season. It was kind of a interim type of thing. From 2019, as Miss Bailey says, to now 2021, we're looking at where you were in 2019 and where you are in 2021. We've already just said that Alcorn had improvement, but we're looking to see these other bands. Some bands are consistent, but they're not they're not standing out. Let me say that. Some are consistent, but they haven't stood out to me. Kiana Lynn also said at Shadaria, so true, the early colleges and extra academic needs are affecting after school activities, especially band and fine arts. That's very true. And y'all, this is one thing I've been wanting to do for a while. And I've actually wrote a letter I've never seen regarding things like this. We've oversaturated our kids with so many options that you're killing off programs in a lot of districts. And I can't say any particular district, but you're killing programs off. Even with sports teams, Dallas football teams used to have a lot of boys on the side. You see most schools now struggling to keep enough boys to interchange between plays, in offense and defense. We have so many programs, so many opportunities, and I'm not against any opportunity. I'm here for all of them. But sometimes we have to know when to scale back. You're introducing too many options, and we only have so many kids. Now all programs are fighting for the same kids. All after school events are fighting for the same time frames. All of these things are happening, and they're competing against each other, and it stretches our kids out to where they struggle with balancing and or they have to choose. And that's something I've noticed too as a high school coach. Anybody want to chime in? No? Okay.
One thing I did notice today, because I always look at it, is like how many of the kids that are like today. I noticed Grambling Band is young. I haven't seen them together in a while, but I used to be down there a lot, so I would watch the bands practice. But some of them kids was small enough for the instruments to carry them. So I'm guessing this is the incoming freshman class. So in about 3 years, we're gonna probably be looking at some beasts. I didn't. I'm trying to remember. I've slept a couple of times since the August Battle of the Bands. So from just the perspective of today, PV Band looked kind of more junior, senior than Grambling Band did. I did notice that. I've noticed a decline in the size, which brings about the interaction of bands. I've noticed a decline in the size of the bands. Even Townview's band is not as big as it used to be, probably because of all of the options.
No,
I guess it's just not popular to be in a band anymore, which is crazy, because if people that have kids encourage their kids to be in band, that's the best way to get to college. And I know that. And like I said, last time I picked up an instrument was 6th grade. So a lot of that money is still on the table when these kids go out to college, because if you maybe, parents talking to their kids and making it more interesting, making it cool again. And then that will probably help some of the other stuff that we're talking about as far as the interactions as far as the size, as far as the options. That'll probably help too. And maybe
Mhm.
more colleges come reach back and talk to more of the high school kids. Maybe that'll help too. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I wholeheartedly agree with that. What you said. I think band is not the it thing anymore, where it was in the '80s, the '90s, the early 2000s. But I think even the early 2000s, that's when we started really seeing those declines as those millennium years were starting to take over. Like I said, it was nothing to see a 250-piece band, 300-piece band walking down the street. That was normal. Now, you see a 150-piece band, you think that's big because most people are struggling with less than 100 instrumentalists, and some less than 100 with instrumentalists and the auxiliaries around, and it it's really hard when you are competing against so many programs. It's hard when a lot of districts or a lot of schools or districts don't push fine arts in that way. And I say fine arts because it's not just band, it's all the arts that goes around it. But they don't push fine arts or support fine arts in the way that somebody who went through fine arts and fine arts motivated me through school, I think it's not pushed, it's not supported in the same. And I say that from a student of fine arts. I say that from somebody who watches fine arts, and I say that from somebody who was under the fine arts. And I think it's just there. Terry Shed interjected here, and he said, I'm sorry, a friend of mine's were saying that yesterday at Townview. We were trying to show her kids and introduce band culture. Whole time they're on their phone, PV marching in, and they rather be on social media. Blasphemy. Correct. That's
Yeah.
but that's what I was saying about the technology part. That technology is a distraction. Our kids, and I'm gonna take one for this, but I'm gonna say it because it's what I believe. I believe that, disclaimer, I don't have kids, but I'm gonna say this anyway. I believe that parents have allowed technology to pacify kids. I see 1-year-olds, 2-year-olds with tablets and things, and they have it all the time. I see it in church just to keep your kid quiet. Now, I'm not against any of that. Let me say that. But we allow our kids too much access to technology too fast and too long. I'm a firm believer in that. When we used to come to church, we would come to church and sit. You may not know anything that preacher was talking about, but you had to sit there and listen. Or maybe mama would let you fall asleep if you were tired. Maybe, depending on the type of parents you had. Now, when I look at across church, I see kids in church with their hoodies on. I see them with their earbuds in their ear. They have tuned out all of the service. They're there physically, but they're not there spiritually. And that's just from a church perspective. Now, take that and put that in school. Take that and put that in any other thing. They withdraw from any physical presence to be on the virtual presence. And I think that's something we have to, as a community, as people, as parents, we have to start to address. Kiana Lynn said this: our feeder elementary and middle schools need to bring back intro to band. Shout out to Herb Sanders. Agreed. Agreed. I think that um, the districts that do not participate in, they have general music, but they don't have intro to band. I think we're doing a disservice teaching our kids so late. When you're not letting a kid pick up an instrument to sixth, seventh, eighth grade, that how can a high school thrive when a kid is really still on the basic steps of band? I started learning instrumentation at fifth grade. Was it fifth grade? Fourth or fifth grade? I think is when we started learning music. You got to pick your instrument at fourth or fifth grade, and I mean, you literally your first couple years in band was just learning how to read, how to play that instrument, and do it well. So by the time you got to your middle school or your intermediate school or your high school, you can come there and you can do whatever it is that band director needs you to do. We're not setting up our high school band directors enough, and we're not, and in chain exchange, the high school band director is not able to set up the college band directors in that aspect. And I believe that, and I think that's across states because I've participated in other band panels, and I've heard that from directors across different cities and different states themselves. That's the same fight they're all going through. So thank you, Kiana, for that, and Terry. Anybody want to chime in? I want to carry it. But yeah, I But yeah, so I definitely agree with Terry, Kiana. I agree with V. I agree with Miss B. I think those are all key components that we have to consider.
I think
Go for it. Just go for it.
let's put it this way. When I came into this world, I didn't know nothing about an instrument, but my mom made sure I knew it. So I was going to piano practice every year. I participated in a recital every year until I got into high school, ninth grade. So I knew how to play the piano. I mean, a lot of people don't know that. I mean, because I had not played piano since then. Um, when I got to high school, I wanted to play clarinet. So I played clarinet for a little bit, but I never got in the band because I was like, I ain't about to march no band. But I think that we take the responsibility and we put it always on the schools, the teachers, and stuff like that. But some things do start at home, and it starts at a very, very young age. We need to learn how to cater to our children's interest before technology comes into play.
Hmm.
You know, we to quiet our child, we'll give them the phone instead of a book or a toy. You know, we want to watch something on our TV, so we give the kid our iPad. That kid is learning how to swipe. That kid is learning how to press different things on there, and we are really excited. How they can use this, they can do this, and not realizing we're taking away the essence of creativity. We are doing that. We're doing that as adults, as parents, taking away the fostering of creativity.
Hmm.
Like my nieces right now, they love a little bit of everything. Like you put music on, Adeline is dancing, and I mean you saw that and how she learned real quick.
Hmm.
How you taught her dancing. I mean she
Hmm.
loves that, and my thing is foster that.
Hmm.
Every she loves to draw. She'll come up with different stories, and then she'll start drawing. My brother and his wife, they take away technology. The schools gave them iPads. You're talking about Annalise is 4, making 5. Addie is making 8 in 2 weeks. Avery 7. The school gave them iPads, yeah, to go virtual and all that kind of stuff. But unless parents say, okay, that's for this item is for this. Now I need you to go read a book, or I need you to go do this. We got kids that can't even write cursive. They don't even know how to say the word. So we have to take a step back too. We put it always on the educational system, and yeah, the educational system may have some faults or some issues, but a lot of things start at home, and until we can realize and recognize that some things actually do start at home, we're going to always have a bigger issue. I mean, here it is, we were talking about band culture, and then everybody goes and brings it all the way down and realizes, hey, elementary and middle schools are not feeding into high schools musicians. So high schools aren't able to put together bigger bands and more productive bands and create a class per se that the colleges can come in and say, I want to recruit these kids. When you only got 5 or 6 kids that's interested in going to college and playing the band, sometimes that ain't the band director at the high school level. Sometimes it's where did some of these kids lose that creativity? Where did some of these kids lose the idea that they don't have to play an instrument anymore because they can develop beats on the phone?
Hmm.
We have to just kind of put things. We sometimes have to just take a step back and put things in a bigger perspective and see the bigger picture of it. Sometimes we have to go back and just recognize that those are things that needed to happen, and it's kind of like we just a lost culture when it comes to that. My mama took, like I said, my mom took me to piano. I was at piano practice twice a week, and I had to prepare for a recital every year. You know, my brother wanted a keyboard when he was a little boy. My mama went and bought that keyboard. It's things like that.
Hmm.
Where are the parents that do that? You know,
That's a good one. I agree. My mom made me take piano classes at Cedar Valley. I have
mhm.
credits there from when I was a child. Had to do the recital yearly. That's when I found out I
Yeah.
had chicken pox. I definitely agree. My mom put limitations too. I remember when we had PlayStation 1 when it came out. Oh Lord, that makes it sound so old. PlayStation One when it
Nah,
came.
Nintendo, the original Nintendo,
I'm thinking about
the
Atari.
original,
I'm
and the,
thinking,
I'm about to say, and the Atari.
yes, but
Am I? Could y'all unplug that from the TV, please?
yeah, my mom. We had Nintendo, of course, but I had even played Atari when I was young. I barely remember it, but I remember seeing it. But we had Nintendo, and I remember when the first PlayStation edition came out. And I remember
Mhm.
my mom did not allow. That's when I got old enough to really get into gaming and really just kind of know what I was doing, and it wasn't just something I was doing as a kid. I remember my mom only allowed us to get on the video game for 2 hours. Now we
Mhm.
can split it up into 30-minute segments. We can do it half and half, or we can do it a whole 2 hour segment. But when your 2 hours is up, and she would time us, when she would put that 2 hours up, get your butt up, go outside. You better be in this house before it's dark. And when you get in, you better have all these chores done, or I'm gonna beat your you know what. And it was no discussion. You knew the routine and you stuck to the routine. I don't see that anymore. Um,
My brother does it to my nieces, and baby, my nieces was like, they be mad, they be hot. One of them get mad, hopping mad. But my brother and his my sister in law, they take away all technology. They have to read a book. They have to read a book for us, for so much time frame. They're allowed to watch TV only for a certain time frame. Each person get a different day on what they actually want to watch and stuff. I mean, but at the end of the day, it's like, okay, you want to dance, you're gonna dance. If you want to read, you're gonna read. If you want to color and draw, you're gonna do that. But that's what you're gonna do in your creative time. So I mean, kudos to the parents that all putting that stuff back. But yeah,
yeah.
what
Okay.
if the
I'm
Bella
sorry.
Bands just moved to
Kiana's
the Cotton
comment just
Bowl?
threw me.
Would it even the playing and profit fields for part the wait would it
So
even
she
the
says,
playing?
thinking out loud, what if the Battle of the Bands was moved to the Cotton Bowl? Would it even the playing and profit fields for the participating high schools? Would it
Hmm.
encourage more fans to buy tickets if they knew they would get a 2-for-1 show? Um, that's deep, Kiana. Okay, so I'm gonna say what I know. I'm not gonna say how I know some of the things I know, but I'm gonna say my opinion, and this is just strictly my opinion. Nobody else is involved in my opinion. Let's disclaim that. Um, I don't think it would ever happen. The reason I'm going to say that, and I'm not for sure if it would never happen, but on my viewpoint, I don't think it would ever happen. The reason I think it may not ever happen is because you're dealing with two different organizations that are receiving the money. I don't think either organization will buy out. I could be wrong, but I don't think either organization will buy out because then you would have like Battle of the Bands is a big fundraiser for any because I know there has been more than one in the past. It was only the one this year, but for any of those organizations, it's a big fundraiser. And of course, the hosting school definitely gets, I would assume, gets more cut. I don't know, but I would assume they get more cut. That's one thing. The other is I know that the colleges depend on the money they get from um, the classic, and I don't know if they would be willing to have that cut mixed in. You would have to have somebody that would really be able to split it down. And I know either way, the colleges probably would get more of the money because they have more at stake. They need it more for traveling expenses, buses, whatever. That's why I say I don't know. I think it's a good idea, but that'd be a very long day. Think about Battle of the Bands going to start at 8. It gets done maybe 12-1, and then pregame for PV starts at 2, and then it's the game goes at 4. You're talking about a full day event. I don't know if well, I guess it would work because a lot of the people go, but not all people that go to Battle of Bands go to the game. And not all that go to the game go to Battle of Bands. So yes, it would work. Of course, they have the option where they want to attend either one. I just wonder how would that work with the fair because the fair only opens at a certain time. I don't know if they will let people in that early. Hey, Jamie. Okay, Terry Shed says it used to be the winner of the battle band would do the opening of Grambling PV. They still do that from the Lancaster branch of the Battle of the Bands. The winner does go, and they do perform, but they only get like 3 to 4 minutes, and that's the other thing that I have an issue with. It's not lucrative to the bands. When I know, like what 2019, the band I was with won that year, and we went and they cut us off in the middle of the girls dancing. My girls were on the field. They literally told us to get off the field because they give you a time limit. They have like maybe one or two bands may perform that won in their division, and then you have in the most recent years like Explosive. dance company will go out and do a performance, and their performance is pretty. They get quite a bit of a time. They have some type of I don't know what they have, but they usually get it to do a good performance. Let me say that they get to do a good performance. So the bands that go, like unlike it was in the past, yeah, there was always a time limit, but you got to do a good portion of your show. It's not like that. They will tell you to walk off in the middle of your show. They don't care. So to me, it's a disservice to those high schools. They do all that preparation and then they go and they can't showcase it. That's a big stage, and you get cut off. You said battle bands was low this year because DISD told the Dallas bands they couldn't participate. Yeah, we had talked about that earlier, and how it kind of sucked for those schools. I get the safety part of it, but it kind of sucks because you see football playing out of district games, in my opinion. So I just feel like that's kind of like that's like our Super Bowl. Battle bands for us is like our playoffs for the musician side, and just it sucks because now you have two classes that have never experienced those things. So that's going to be a really hard part of the culture in band to rebuild because you have classes that are not getting those experiences. Shadera said they only get 3 to 4 minutes because of all the other pregame performances. Correct, but I think you can cut that down. I think you need to make sure that you have these bands coming. You got to bust them. You got to do all that. There's money spent. You got to give them at least I ain't gonna say give them no 10 minutes. That's too much. But 3 to 4 minutes, and it's not consistent because you don't know when they actually start your time. I know when I was there that year, one band got almost 5 minutes, where my band only got three. So it wasn't even consistent in the timing. So I think that's something that we have to look at too. Is like give these bands 4 to 5 minutes, and that way they can, you may have to cut out this part of your show or that part, but let them go out there, and that way they can at least showcase why they are the band that made it that far. I just feel like when you give them 3 minutes, we know that some big bands, like if you're looking at a band like Skyline, it may, unless they start directly on the field or Cedar Hill, if they're marching on, that's a minute out the way. So you would have to almost go to your first formation on the field so that you can get a good portion of your show done. And you have to cut out as many transitions as possible if you want to really showcase your band. You said in previous years it was only the winners who performed. Yes, for battle bands, and it's still that they only let the winner of each division, the small and big division. But you have, like I said, explosive. I knew for at least last 4 to 5 years, maybe more than that, has always done a performance at the game, and they get a good performance. I saw it. I saw it via the phone today, but I saw their performance. I mean, they put on a really good show, but they get more time, from what I can tell, than what the bands get. Um, for however that deal is worked out. But I'm just saying. But there's no hate to anybody. I mean, they put on a good performance. I mean, it is what it is, and they have a good following too. So it is what it is. Yeah. But thank you. Yeah, thank y'all. Thank y'all. Yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there. I just wanted to have the conversation. Like I said, this was, if you go from the beginning of the video before, a lot of y'all probably chimed in. Like I was telling people, it's just not a bashing. It's just the conversation to understand, where we are, where we're going, and how do we think they're going to get there? Because most band heads consistently, from what I've been reading, hearing, and listening to conversations, have been a little underwhelmed thus far this year. Even people that are watching some of the bands that they're underwhelmed with. I just want to see kind of where is everybody else's mind and where we think it's going to go. I definitely think that some bands are definitely going to turn up as the season go. I see some bands already, trying to push their way there. I know it was going to take long. I knew as a band person they couldn't have got it done in a normal band camp time frame, because it was too much. You got two classes that you're trying to get acclimated to the real culture of band, plus your old heads, plus the COVID restrictions, plus the performance restrictions, plus whatever. So I know it was a lot. But keeping all that in mind, as a fan, they don't care about any of that. They only want to see what is presented, and that's what I'm judging off of. You said, right. I'm saying that it was only the bands who performed and not all the. Oh, yes. Correct, Shaderia. Correct. It used to be just the band, so you could really get through a performance. Of course, we know from winning at Townview, we got to go several times during our school years, and we cut some parts of our show out to keep it shorter, but we got to almost do our entire show from beginning to end. They would cut a small part out or whatever, or hey, we're not going to transition here. We'll stay in this formation, but it's a cut show. But you still got to do the majority of the show. All the elements that made your show great are there. So yeah, I totally agree. This has been a healthy conversation. I really appreciate all of the band heads for coming on in the conversation and weighing in because it's a lot to think about. Those who like band, those who are fans of band, those who've been in band, those who participated. I think it's all the dancers, the twirlers, the flag girls. It all makes a difference, and I think if our culture speaks up and say, hey, we're not taking this anymore. We need to, hey, schools, districts, fine arts, whatever, hey, let's work on a plan of how we can rebuild these schools. It wasn't a lot. I just, it was me talking, kind of pre-interluding a lot of the things that are being said now, but
You
opening the
talk
door.
plenty, Shadari.
Huh?
I was telling Shadari, you talk plenty.
You didn't miss much. I mean, stuff that I was basically I've restated. Uh, oh, you want her to come in here? Is that what you're saying? Shaderi might be out right now. I don't know what Shaderi doing, um, but yeah, I think that you know, dang, I forgot where I was going with this.
I will say this: I've been a Juke fan all my life,
Mm-hmm.
all my life, and there have been some moments where I was like, okay, where did they come with that performance? And then I mean, when I was younger, I was real serious with some stuff. I used to be, I was so much of a fan that every game I would go to, even when I was younger, and I had my cousins, my older cousins, I was like, okay, y'all gonna take me by the band, and I would go and stand right by the band. So I
Mm-hmm.
mean, and then when I decided to go to Southern, I was always just with Jukes. I always hung out with them, but sometimes it's like, you know, hey,
Mm-hmm.
where y'all got that from? But I mean, I do agree with Kiana. You know, every organization is just they're learning how to adapt with the different restrictions of the pandemic. And I
Mm-hmm.
think a lot of what we're seeing now is not that it's a serious decline in musicianship and creativity as much as it is new directors coming in. They're trying to put their foot down, and then everybody's trying to adapt new policies, protocols, because to be honest, I really believe that because of the pandemic, a lot of people are just worried, like a lot of organizations are just worried about frivolous lawsuits.
Mm-hmm.
I really believe a lot of people are functioning in that capacity from school districts on up to, to colleges and stuff like that. If they don't do certain safety protocols and stuff like that, then, hey, my kid got COVID because you didn't do this. So I get it. It's just, what we're used to being entertained with, I I think has changed.
I
And
think there was a band, a college band on the East Coast that he mandated that all his students had to be vaccinated. I can't remember the name, what school exactly off the top of my
mhm,
head, but I know that was a big concern from some
mhm.
people. And he said he's willing to lose the members, but he
If I'm
wanted.
not mistaken, Tennessee State did that too.
I'm not for sure. That one I'm not for sure about, but I know there was a one on the East Coast.
Mhm.
It up there like it was like Virginia Tech, Norfolk, somewhere over in that area. But
I
I
don't
just,
blame them.
huh?
I don't blame them.
Yeah, but and some people just won't do it. And I get that, so that could definitely hit a
Mhm.
dance program as well. But when you're thinking about traveling on buses, you can't social distance on a bus unless you have the money to do it. So
Right. And,
I
ooh,
get I can get the precaution of that, and which is why I understood why they didn't travel last year because there was no safe way, and the money
no safe way.
financially, the financial cost of it would have been way too much.
Like right now, we still have to wear masks on the bus. And
Yeah.
so, like, even when I get my girls on the bus, they still sit individual seats and we social distance on the bus, like, previous, and everybody has to wear their mask. So, I mean,
Hmm.
you know,
Shadaria said also the blow up of the YouTube has changed the landscape of band world. Yeah, band
yeah,
world and
she
YouTube has
right.
definitely grown. That may
She
be a
right.
topic another day. We could make that a topic and have a whole panel behind that, a real good
She's right.
panel.
I mean, I still
Um,
go back and Google search and YouTube previous videos from when I was at Southern.
well,
Some of
not
those
just
moments were my best moments.
the videos of them playing. I mean, that's definitely a big surge. But even with dancers, like
Mhm.
There's so many videographers now where the bands are getting the attention because of the dance lines. Where in the past, when we were growing up, the dance line was was a commodity to the band. You got to see them in person, but on videos only if it was a wide angle. They focused on the members of the band. The dancers were there, the flags were there. Now you have most of the videos are based around the auxiliary of the band, because that's the entertainment, that's the movement. Um, and I think that's something. And you have a lot of YouTubers that do reviews and all that kind of stuff, that
Mhm.
have definitely blown up and pushed their opinions or their standpoints behind stuff. Well, they ask the crowd for their stuff. Shadari is one of them. I mean, she reviews and comments and gets people's opinions and also share hers. And that's just something we do. So YouTube has changed a lot of things. I just think, and I'm gonna throw this out there, and y'all can tell me what you think. But do you think that it's getting gimmicky? Like, is band culture getting gimmicky? Do y'all think? Where they feel like they have to do over the top stuff to put on a good show, where you can't just watch a good 8 to 5 drill, your dancers, your flags, whatever you have, your twirlers, put on a good show and give us a straight cut show without, the rappers coming out or the smoke or the big, whatever your gimmicks are going to be. Do y'all think it's becoming gimmicky and everybody's trying to out gimmick each other? Anybody want to chime in on that? Let's see. He said they are featured in mainstream videos more as well, i.e., Two Chains, Lizzo. Correct, correct. They have pulled out, and they've been featured for some years. You've been seeing dancers pop up with artists and commercials and stuff. So yeah, you're starting to see a lot of it. I mean, there's respect there, but not. Darius says yes. She's shouting yes. Yes, they are. I could understand that. I could understand that. I don't think every band is trying to be gimmicky. I do think people are gimmicky, but I think our society is more gimmicky. I think the artists that we have now are gimmicky. I think music, pop culture is gimmicky. I think it's all about the next big gimmick. Think about some of your stars. Think about some of the people that are in the mainstream. God forbid a troll comes after me, but think about Little Nas X or Nicki Minaj. They're good at gimmicks. They are a gimmicky celebrity. They may be good artists in their retrospect, but they keep you wondering and talking about them based on the gimmicks they keep in the media. We said definitely more gimmick and trying to outdo the next band. Yeah, I think so. I think everybody's trying to outdo everybody because everybody wants to be number one. Everybody wants to be number one. And then you have what we consider, honestly, the giant of band culture, which is Southern. Everybody may not agree, but everybody says Southern is the giant. Everybody wants to knock the giant off their feet. Has it been done before? Yes. Has it been done recently? Questionable. Um, but everybody's trying to be the best in their right, but they also want to take the number one spot. And from band person to band person, Southern has locked that spot probably in the last decade. Um, for the most part, they've had a few inconsistencies, but I mean consistently in the last decade, they've probably reigned in that spot for a good while. And I think that's what everybody's trying to do. They're trying to out gimmick. But Southern to me can be gimmicky too. Um, let's see. You say even with the dance lines blurring the lines and not always remaining true to their culture and traditions. Well, here's the thing with that, and I think we're gonna agree. I think the Bring It era, the TV show, Bring It, which y'all know I participated in. If you know me, Bring It era definitely has an effect. Community dance teams have definitely had an effect because you have different dance teams who had different coaches who come with different styles, from Stinged to Jay Set, of course, is one of the main ones. Even Southern style, another main one. And you're blending all of these styles together. They're learning all these different styles because you're trying to make your girls real well rounded to where they can do whatever style or mimic any style they want. But the problem of it now is with the community dance world is that now you're getting the DD4L girls, you're getting the community dance world girls, before, after, in between, and whatever. And they've learned all these different styles of dance and they're used to doing so many things that now when they go to these colleges, yes, they've learned the culture and the tradition of that college. But when it's their time to get creative, you're seeing the blends that they've learned start to move in. Think about Alcorn. Alcorn girls a few years ago didn't look like what they look like now. And to me, you can tell DD4L has hit Alcorn. Jackson has stayed for the most part true, but they've even had some elevation. You look at the Dolls. The Dolls in the last couple of years has elevated. I'm not going to say DD4L, but I think you see some of the community dance teams influence to where they've learned how to be Southern, but put the extraness in there to update their look. This year, of course, they've gone back to being more basic Southern or Dolls anyway. So I can see that. I can see the evolutions, but I definitely think Bring It and community teams have had a big impact, and I think that's what we're seeing. You're seeing that first wave of community teams come through, and you're seeing the culture change. You're seeing the changing through all those blurred lines and those blended things. And I can't say I've taught it. I've taught Thingettes. I've taught J sets. I've taught Golden Girls. I've taught motion, and I've blended all those together. So I can say that I'm a contribution to that same factor in that as well. In retrospect, thank you, Kiana. Just something to think about. Quay, I didn't know you was here. Hey, Quay, that my boo. Hey, Quay. I don't never know who's watching, so if you don't speak, I don't know. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. You said definitely, and the addition of videographers and the various community dance competition. Correct. You didn't get this much attention on the dance side, and I think dance is getting way more attention than it's ever gotten. And now, because we can see it through YouTube, because we can look on our phones, you're getting all the exposure. Everybody's watching everybody. Everybody's looking. Think about V layouts. Who was all doing V layouts or death drops, as they call it, which is not, I don't know where they got that from, but that was not what it's called. But who was thinking about doing V layouts prior to Bring It? Think about it. Who was doing V layouts prior to Bring It? But you get on Bring It and you see everybody doing V layouts. I remember when I went to a competition, I said, if I see one more leg hold and one more V layout, I'm leaving. I can't do this. And I left because it became who can backflip the most when I was doing community dance. Who could backflip the most? Who can V layout higher? Who can do it the many times? Who can do a pop-up? Who can hold their leg for 30 minutes and not fall out of place? Girl, okay, what else can you do? Can you dance? It ain't even gotta be a trick. Can you just dance? Like move. That's the stuff that I was looking at. So yes, I think all of the exposure, the overexposure, is probably what I would call it. The overexposure definitely plays a part in how we look at the things we're looking at today. And I think now, if you look, a lot of videographers are now doing two different type of views. You're doing they have views of just the band, and they have views of just the girls. Because for a while you were only seeing the girls. Now you're starting to see that they're starting to put out videos of the same footage, but you have one that focuses more on the band itself and one that focuses more on the girl itself, so that they appeal to both audiences. Because the band people were getting mad that they wouldn't see the band no more. They want to see the musician, the instrumentalist, and all you're seeing is the girl. Some of them don't care to see any of that. You said, I would venture to say that J-Sets may have been doing V layouts. They did. But I'm just saying, in general, not so many. We said not too many other teams. Yeah, J-Sets were doing them, but you didn't see that many teams. Now you see even the technical teams are V-laying out. I mean, you see it across so many styles of teams. And, or death drops, as they call it, which is not the correct name. But you see it across so many teams, and it's just like, okay, girl, who are you getting this from, and why are we doing it at this point? she said, yes, I want to yell out from the judges table, but you can dance. No, but can you dance? Don't do another trick or flip. Baby, look, when I was judging on my evaluation sheets, I would put that great performance, but too many tricks or too many whatever. This is a dance competition, not a cheer competition. This is a dance competition, not a trick competition. I put things like that on my sheet. Because sometimes as coaches, and that's where coaching comes in, you have to teach your girls, sometimes you can win and not do one trick. It's about your attitude and your performance. But but some people, when you get unqualified people at the table, they will judge based on the tricks. Oh, girl, she went hard. Yeah, she went hard on tricks. But this is a dance competition. Gymnastics is not dance. Gymnastics is an attribute of dance. It is not dance. Let's keep it in the category. Girl, we can change conversations all over again. We have went one whole different. I'm sorry, but we got a lot of auxiliary right now. Jaquay's auxiliary, Shadaria was auxiliary, and Kiana's auxiliary. So I understand the sway of the conversation. And y'all know I'm both band and auxiliary. From the rooter to the tutor. I can do it all. All right. Yes, I definitely agree. So I think we as a culture, we as coaches, we as fans, we as spectators, we as teachers, we as anybody who respect band, auxiliary, whatever, we definitely need to revive the culture. I know there are a lot of people trying to, but we need to start making our voice heard. Let the school districts, let the people know what we want to see again. And as parents and people who are raising kids, make sure we pull technology out their hand. Make sure we start fostering those things that, like Miss Bailey said, or Miss B said, let's start fostering those skills early. Take them away from the phone more. Put them in those things that are going to foster their skills. We do it for dance. We do it somewhat for cheer and football, in sports, but we don't do it for the other skills that are not football, sports, or dance related at this point. There are so many other skills that we could put our kids in: piano, early musician. All those skills should be fostered at a young age because that's when they learn the best. By the time they get to high school, they will be beasts. We have allowed our kids to fall. You said, okay, Terry says, okay, final comment. You ain't got to be your final. You are welcome to stay. I want you to stay. I thank you for your comments, but thank you. You said, okay, my final comment. This conversation was needed. Thank you. It's been happening quietly for some time in groups. Pandemic aside, I can excuse. I totally understand overcoming 2+ years of missing band camps, camaraderie, practice, exposure. I can forgive that. The but problem is bigger. All of all of us got our love for band in grade level. For me, fourth grade. Some elementary school band teachers, DISD, I know for sure, work 3 to 4 different schools. That means music class is twice a week, if that. With your comment is too long, so I can't get anything after the with. It only gives us so many characters that I can see. But let me see if I can see it from my side. Hold on. I got my phone pulled up so I can try to see it from here. Hold on. Can I see it? Okay. Uh let's see. The rest of the comment says, oh, but it is a true Terry, you gave a real comment. Okay, Miss Belly stepped out. Okay, so Terry said, hold on, I'm picking up. You said with the lack of exposure, middle schools suffer. Middle schools with the lack of exposure. Hold on, I lost my spot. With the lack of exposure, middle schools suffer, which causes high school bands to be lacking, and thus finally the college bands to be lackluster. Suck because yeah, we're not being entertained for our money. The quality slash music creativity will decline. Today's music in general sucks if you listen to the radio. I heard Mr. Hill, which is our band director, both of ours, our high school band director, a legend in Dallas, say one day you got to get the music before you can work on crunktivity. That's true. Otherwise, you just playing that Oscar the Grouch. True crow, laugh out loud. But for us, people of color, the extracurricular was a direct line to college, which meant networking, brother and sisterhoods, traditions, education. That's what was important. That's what's gonna be lost. I love that commentary. You just dropped a ball of knowledge right here in the comment section. Thank you so much. Computer had to restart. Shucks. Oh, I just thought you left without saying anything. Thank you, Terry, for saying that. I appreciate that comment and dropping that knowledge. I think that was a very important piece of knowledge that you just dropped in there. Thank you for throwing that in there. That's really really true. All right. For anybody else who wants to join the conversation or rejoin, I just dropped the links on YouTube and on Facebook if you want to come in and share your verbal expression. Okay. But yeah, I definitely believe all of that's true. We have lost those skills. We have not pushed the issue enough. And I think we've been silent for too long. And like I said, I wrote a 4-page plus letter almost 2 years ago now that I never sent. I meant to send it and I never sent it. I allowed somebody to stop me from sending my letter. And I'm going to send it eventually. It's who I'm going to send it to that will, where is it going to be heard? Because you want it to be heard. Sometimes it gets overlooked in the conundrum of day-to-day things. I don't want it to get lost. I want the right person come across what was said. Of course, I would have to update it because things have changed since then. But um, definitely want to send that letter out. I still have it, thanks to Google Docs. Thank you, Terry, for that ball. I think you have definitely hit us with a ball of comments right there. All right. So again, today's topic was just talking about the HBCU band culture and dance lines. This was not any threat on anything, but we were talking about it from the college perspective and from the high school perspective. That was the most important thing because I mean, I think it's been very much said that a lot of people are feeling underwhelmed, and it's not something that I think we need to say that we're downing anybody. I think we just need to say, okay, this is what we're looking to see. This is what we want. Understanding the challenges that are there, but how do we get past those challenges? You say great conversation, B. I gotta go. Thank you so much. Raising Canaan's season finale tonight. Love you all. No problem. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Love you. Love you. Love you. All right. But definitely wanted to just have this conversation, y'all. I thank y'all for joining the weigh in. We're approaching 2 hours. Didn't think I'd be on here 2 hours. Thought it maybe about a 40-minute conversation, honestly. But hey, I should have known my band heads would come through and check us out. I really thank y'all again. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel at UC Dance, y'all. I post so many different things. Everything's on there. It's a combination of a lot of stuff on there because I only put everything on this one channel. I don't use any of my other ones that I have. But I'm bringing the weigh-in back. This is our first installment in months. I haven't done a weigh-in since early spring. So definitely bringing it back. I thought today was a good day to reintroduce it to you guys. So we'll be coming back. Definitely know if there's some conversations you want to cover. It doesn't have to be just band. We talk about in and everything over here at the weigh-in. I appreciate you all. Thank my Facebook family for coming through, my YouTube subscribers when you for coming through or saying what you need to say. I hope that you all have a wonderful, safe night. And think about what we can do as a community. We will revisit this topic again sooner or later and talk about this. You said, oh, really? Oh, really? What, Spain? Oh, really? What, Spain? But we'll revisit this conversation soon and we'll talk. I mean, we'll talk and we will think about it. Maybe if we keep doing it, we can reach our voices out. There are a lot of people that feel the same way we do or have some of the same sentiments that we do. I think we can definitely start to revive the culture. The power is in the people. So let's get out there and let's make those moves, y'all. All right. Communication is key. Communication is the key. You're correct, Mr. Spain. I appreciate that. All right, guys. I'm going to get ready to get us off. We've been on here an hour and 58 minutes and 44 seconds and counting. So I appreciate you guys. I didn't think this was going to be that long of a live, but it is. And I appreciate it. It's been a very healthy live. I think we definitely discussed a lot of different attributes that needed to come out, not just with the performance aspect, but the behind the scenes aspect as well. I wish you all to have a good night. I hope that if you went to the PV Gremlin game or the Battle Dance here locally in Dallas, that you got what you were looking for. If you did not get what you're looking for, I hope that you will find it. And one of the upcoming performances, as y'all know, the upcoming week for State Fair Classic will be the Texas OU game, which is not the HBCU style, but it is a big game and rivalry here in Texas. And then the last week of the State Fair will be the Texas Southern versus the Southern University game. Definitely hope that we can get it, for us locals who don't travel, that you can get your band fixed there. I don't even know if they're still doing the traditional battle that they normally would do, but we will see if it happens. All right, guys, I will be talking to you guys later. If you come in later and you see or watch the video, definitely leave your comments in the video. Definitely let us know and chime in what you think. We will have another segment of this because I think it's something that we need to talk about more in the community as we continue to weigh in on those things that affect us daily. I love you all, and y'all have a good night. Peace.